Michael had been living in Portland for 8 years now, and honestly, he thought he had everything figured out. His little bookstore on Cherry Street wasn't making him rich, but it paid the bills and gave him something he actually cared about. The smell of old books, the quiet customers who came in looking for their next escape, the way sunshine came through the front windows in the afternoon. It was a good life, a peaceful life. His golden retriever Scout was probably his best friend these days. Yeah, that sounds a bit sad when you say it out loud, but Scout never judged him, never asked complicated questions, and always seemed happy just to be around. They had their routine down perfectly. Morning walks before opening the shop, lunch break at the park, evening runs along the river. Simple stuff that kept Michael grounded. The thing is, Michael had worked really hard to get to this place of peace. There was a time, not so long ago, when he couldn't even walk past a coffee shop without looking inside, hoping to see a familiar face. When every song on the radio felt like it was written specifically to remind him of what he lost. When he'd wake up reaching for someone who hadn't been there in years. But time does its job. Slowly, quietly, without you even noticing. One day you realize you didn't think about that person for a whole week, then a month, then you stop counting. Michael had dated other women, had even gotten close to serious with one or two. He'd learned to be okay on his own. He'd learned that sometimes people leave and you just have to accept it. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late September when everything changed. The rain was doing that typical Portland thing where it's not quite pouring, but it's definitely not stopping either. Michael was behind the counter, sorting through a box of used books someone had brought in earlier. Scout was sleeping near the radiator, snoring softly. The shop was empty except for one regular customer browsing the poetry section. Then the bell above the door chimed. Michael looked up automatically, ready with his usual welcoming smile. But the smile froze on his face. His heart actually stopped for a second. At least it felt like it did. Standing in his doorway, shaking rain from her coat, was Lily. She looked different. Her hair used to be long, down to her waist, but now it was cut short, just touching her shoulders. She was thinner than he remembered, and there were these little lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before. She was wearing expensive-looking clothes, the kind she used to say she'd wear when she made it big. But her eyes, those eyes were exactly the same, brown with little gold flecks that caught the light. For what felt like forever, but was probably only a few seconds, they just stared at each other. Michael's mind was racing. What was she doing here? Why now? After 8 years of absolute silence. Why would she just walk into his store like it was the most normal thing in the world? Lily spoke first. Her voice was softer than he remembered. Hi, Michael. Hi. That was all he could manage. His throat felt tight. She walked further into the shop, looking around at the shelves. The reading corner he'd set up with comfortable chairs. The little cafe area where customers could grab coffee. This place is really nice. It suits you. Thanks. Michael put down the book he'd been holding, realizing his hands were shaking slightly. What are you doing here, Lily? She bit her lip, a habit he remembered from when she was nervous. My mom's sick. Cancer. I came back to help my dad take care of things. She paused. I'm sorry to just show up like this. I didn't know if you want to hear from me. And just like that, Michael's anger deflated. Whatever complicated feelings he had about Lily, her mom had always been kind to him. Mrs. Chen used to make them dinner every Sunday when they were in college, insisting that young people needed home-cooked meals. I'm really sorry to hear that. How is she doing? She's fighting. You know how she is. Lily gave a small smile. The doctors say the treatment is working, but it's been hard on her. They talked for a few more minutes about her mom, about the treatment plan, carefully avoiding the 8-year gap between them. The regular customer left, and Scout woke up, immediately trotting over to Lily. Dogs never forget people they loved. Hey, Scout. Lily knelt down, and the dog practically melted into her, tail wagging like crazy. I miss you too, buddy. Watching them together did something to Michael's chest. Made it ache in a way he hadn't felt in years. Lily stood back up, brushing dog hair off her fancy coat. Look, I know this is weird. Me being here, but I'm going to be in town for a few weeks, maybe a month, and I don't really have anywhere to stay. My parents' house is small, and with my mom's treatment, she needs her rest and quiet. I was wondering. She trailed off, looking uncertain. Michael knew what she was going to ask before she asked it. Could I maybe stay at your place? Just temporarily. I can pay rent, obviously. I just need somewhere quiet to work remotely and be close to my parents. If it's too weird, I completely understand. Every logical part of Michael's brain was screaming at him to say no. This was the woman who left him without really looking back. Who'd chosen her dreams in New York over building a life with him? Who'd broken his heart so thoroughly that it took years to feel normal again? Letting her back into his space, into his carefully constructed peaceful life, was asking for trouble. But when he opened his mouth, what came out was, "Yeah, okay, you can stay." Lily's face lit up with relief. "Really? Thank you, Michael. I promise I won't be in your way." That night, after he closed the shop and they grabbed pizza from their old favorite place, Michael sat on his couch with Lily on the other end and Scout between them. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, and it was strange how familiar it felt, like his body remembered this, even if his mind was trying to stay cautious. "This pizza is still amazing," Lily said, and Michael realized that some things really don't change. The pizza tasted exactly like it did 8 years ago. The way Lily picked off the olives and put them on his slices was exactly the same. The sound of rain against the windows was the same, but they weren't the same people anymore. That's what Michael kept telling himself as he showed her the guest room and gave her clean towels. They were practically strangers now, just with a shared history. This was temporary. In a few weeks, she'd go back to her life in New York, and he'd go back to his peaceful routine. At least. That's what he tried to believe as he lay in bed that night, very aware that Lily was sleeping just down the hall. Then after 8 years of empty space, she was here, in his home, close enough to hear if he called out. Scout had abandoned Michael's room to sleep outside Lily's door. Even the dog knew where he really wanted to be. Michael stared at the ceiling for a long time before sleep finally came, wondering what he'd just agreed to and whether his heart was really as healed as he'd thought. The first few days with Lily in his apartment were weird in ways Michael hadn't expected. Not bad weird, just weird. He'd gotten so used to his own routine, his own space, his own quiet life. Now there were little reminders everywhere that someone else was living there. Her shampoo in the bathroom that smelled like coconut. Her laptop and papers spread across his kitchen table. Her shoes by the door next to his. But the weirdest part? How quickly it started to feel normal. Lily had always been an early riser, and apparently that hadn't changed. Michael would wake up to find her already dressed, making coffee in his kitchen. She'd started buying the good stuff, the expensive beans from that place downtown. And Michael had to admit it tasted way better than his usual grocery store brand. Morning, she'd say, like they did this every day, like 8 years hadn't passed. Like this was just how things were. On the 4th day, Lily asked if she could help out at the bookstore. "I'm going crazy just sitting at home working on my laptop," she explained. "Mom's treatments are in the afternoons, so I have mornings free. I promise I won't get in your way." Michael should have said no. Keeping boundaries, keeping distance. That was the smart thing to do. But he found himself nodding. "Sure, if you want." That's how Lily became part of his daily routine at the shop. She was actually really good at it. She remembered how to work the old register, helped customers find books, and even reorganized his messy storage room in a way that actually made sense. Customers loved her. She had this way of talking to people that made them feel like they were the only person in the world. Michael caught himself watching her sometimes. The way she'd tuck her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating. The way she'd laugh at customers' jokes, genuine and warm. The way she'd sit in the reading corner during slow moments, her legs tucked under her, completely absorbed in whatever book she'd picked up. It was dangerous, this watching. He knew it was dangerous. Scout had fully transferred his loyalty. The dog followed Lily everywhere now, like he was making up for lost time every morning. Lily would take Scout for long walks before the shop opened. She'd come back with stories about the neighborhood, about the changes she'd noticed, about the new coffee place that wasn't there before. "Remember that awful laundromat on 5th Street?" she said one morning. "It's a fancy juice bar now. I didn't even recognize it." "Yeah, the neighborhood's gotten a lot more expensive," Michael replied, shelving books. "Sometimes I worry my little bookstore won't be able to keep up." Lily looked at him seriously. "This place is special, Michael. It's got soul. That's worth more than any trendy juice bar." Moments like that messed with his head, made him remember why he'd fallen for her in the first place. Lily had always seen him, really seen him, in a way nobody else did. 2 weeks in, Michael made the mistake of mentioning Lily to his friend Derek at their weekly basketball game. Derek had known them back in college, had seen the whole relationship and breakup happen. "Wait, Lily, you're Lily? She's staying at your place?" Derek missed an easy shot, staring at Michael. "Man, are you crazy? It's not like that. Her mom's sick. She needed a place to stay. It's temporary." Derek grabbed the ball and held it, making Michael look at him. "You spent 2 years getting over her. 2 years. Michael, I was there. I saw how messed up you were." "I'm fine. It's fine. We're just old friends." "Old friends," Derek laughed. But it wasn't a happy sound. "You don't look at old friends the way you just looked when you said her name." Michael didn't have a good answer for that. The thing was, the more time they spent together, the more Michael noticed all the ways Lily had changed. She was quieter now, more thoughtful. She didn't talk about her job in New York with the same excitement she used to have about moving there. Sometimes he'd catch her staring out the window with this sad expression, like she was somewhere far away. One evening, after they'd closed the shop and were walking Scout along the river, Michael asked her about it. "Are you happy in New York? I mean?" Lily was quiet for so long he thought she wasn't going to answer. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink, and Scout was chasing ducks along the water's edge. "I got everything I wanted," she finally said. "The job, the apartment, the success. I'm a senior editor at one of the biggest publishing houses in the country. I go to book launches and fancy parties. I meet famous authors." She paused. "But happy? I don't know if I even know what that means anymore." "That doesn't sound like you," Michael said softly. "You always knew exactly what you wanted." "Maybe that was the problem. I was so focused on what I wanted that I didn't stop to think about what I needed." She looked at him then, and there was something in her eyes that made his heart beat faster. "I left a lot behind when I went to New York." Michael knew she meant him. They both knew it, but neither of them said it out loud. Instead, they walked in silence, the weight of unspoken words heavy between them. Scott eventually bounded back to them, soaking wet and happy, breaking the tension. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He lay in bed thinking about that conversation, about the look in Lily's eyes, about the way his chest had tightened when she talked about leaving things behind. He'd worked so hard to move on, to build a life without her, but having her here, in his space, in his daily routine, was making all those old feelings come rushing back. And the scary part? He wasn't sure he wanted to fight them anymore. Around 2 in the morning, he heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Then his bedroom door opened slightly. "Michael, you awake?" "Yeah," he said, sitting up. Lily came in, wrapped in the old blanket from the guest room. Scout followed her. "I couldn't sleep. I keep thinking about Mom, about the scan results next week. Can I just sit here for a bit?" Michael moved over, and Lily sat on the edge of his bed. They didn't touch, but he could feel the warmth of her next to him. Scout jumped up and settled between them, like a furry barrier. "She's going to be okay," Michael said. "Your mom's the toughest person I know." "I know. I just wish I'd been here more. I've missed so much, being away." Her voice cracked slightly. "I've missed a lot of things." They sat there in the dark for a long time, not talking, just being. Eventually, Lily's breathing evened out, and Michael realized she'd fallen asleep sitting up. He carefully helped her lie down, and she curled up on top of his covers without waking. Scout repositioned himself as her guard dog. Michael lay back, down on his side of the bed, watching the ceiling, listening to Lily breathe. This was dangerous, This was so dangerous. But he couldn't bring himself to wake her up and send her back to the guest room. Some walls, once you let them crack even a little bit, are impossible to rebuild. Michael was starting to realize his walls when it came to Lily had never been as solid as he pretended. They'd always been more like paper, just waiting for the right moment to tear. As he finally drifted off to sleep with Lily next to him, Michael wondered if he was making the biggest mistake of his life or finally doing something right. Maybe, he thought, it was somehow both at the same time. Michael woke up alone. For a second, he wondered if last night had been a dream. But the indent on the other side of his bed and Scott's absence told him it had been real. Lily had been in his bed, and then she'd left before he woke up. He wasn't sure how to feel about that when he got to the kitchen. Lily was making breakfast like nothing had happened. Scrambled eggs, toast, the works. She looked up and smiled. "Morning. I hope you don't mind. I raided your fridge." "It's fine," Michael said, pouring himself coffee. Neither of them mentioned her falling asleep in his room. Maybe that was for the best, but things felt different after that night. There was a shift, subtle but definitely there. They stood a little closer when working together at the shop. Their hands would brush when passing books or reaching for the same thing. Lily started touching his arm when she laughed at his jokes. Small things that probably meant nothing or meant everything, depending on how you looked at it. 3 weeks into Lily's stay, Michael had a coffee date with Rachel. He'd been seeing her casually for about 3 months before Lily showed up. Rachel was nice, pretty, worked as a nurse at the hospital. They had good conversations, enjoyed the same movies, and there was potential there for something more serious. At least, there had been potential before. They met at their usual spot, a cafe near Rachel's hospital. She ordered her regular latte, and they made small talk for a few minutes. But Rachel had always been direct, and it didn't take long for her to cut to what was really on her mind. "So tell me about Lily," she said, stirring sugar into her coffee. Michael tried to keep his voice casual. "She's an old friend. Her mom's sick, so she's in town for a while. That's all." Rachel gave him a look that said she wasn't buying it. "Michael, I like you. I think we've had fun together. But I'm not stupid." She set down her spoon carefully. "You've been different the last few weeks, distracted. And when you talk about this old friend, your whole face changes. Rachel, it's not like that. Lily and you're just what? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're still in love with her." The words hit Michael like cold water. He opened his mouth to deny it, but nothing came out. Because maybe Rachel was right. Maybe he'd been lying to himself this whole time. Rachel reached across the table and touched his hand gently. "I'm not mad. I'm really not. But I think you need to figure out what you want before you can be with anyone else." She stood up, leaning down to kiss his cheek. "For what it's worth, I hope things work out the way they're supposed to. You're a good guy, Michael. You deserve to be happy." She left, and Michael sat there with his cooling coffee, feeling like the worst person in the world. Rachel deserved better than someone who was emotionally unavailable, someone whose heart was still stuck 8 years in the past. He didn't go straight home. Instead, he walked around the city for hours, thinking about Lily, about the life he'd built without her, about whether he was brave enough to risk getting hurt again. The sun was setting by the time he finally headed back to his apartment. When he opened the door, he found Lily on the balcony, staring out at the city lights. She had a glass of wine in her hand and was wearing one of his old hoodies that she must have found in the closet. It used to be her favorite. "Hey," she said when she heard him. "How was your day?" "Long," Michael said, joining her outside. The evening air was cool. "How's your mom?" "Good, actually. The scan results came back today. The tumor is shrinking. Doctor says she's responding really well to treatment." Lily smiled, but it was sad around the edges. "She should be okay." "That's great, Lily. Really great." "Yeah." She took a sip of wine. "Which means I'll probably be heading back to New York soon. Maybe next week." Michael's stomach dropped. He'd known this was coming. This was always temporary. But hearing her say it out loud made it real in a way he wasn't prepared for. "Oh, that's good. I'm sure you miss your life there." Lily turned to look at him fully. Do I what? Do I miss my life there? You keep saying things like that, like you're sure I want to go back. But you've never actually asked me if I do. Michael leaned against the balcony railing. His heart was beating too fast. Okay, do you want to go back? I don't know, Lily said quietly. She set down her wine glass and moved closer to him. Being here with you these past few weeks, it's made me remember what it feels like to actually live instead of just working all the time. I forgot that food tastes better when you share it with someone. That walks are nicer with a dog and good company. That bookstores can feel like home. Lily, do you remember that last fight we had? Before I left for New York? She didn't wait for him to answer. You asked me to stay. You said we could build something here together, that I didn't have to leave to be successful. And I said that you were being selfish, that you didn't understand my dreams. Michael remembered. He tried to forget, but he remembered every word of that fight. I've thought about that conversation so many times over the years, Lily continued. Her eyes were shining with unshed tears. And you know what I realized? You weren't the selfish one. I was. I was so obsessed with this idea of success, with proving something to the world, that I didn't see what I was giving up. I didn't see that I already had everything that mattered. You got what you wanted, though. Michael said. The career, the success. You made it, Lily. Did I? Because I spent 8 years in New York being successful and lonely, and wondering if I made the biggest mistake of my life when I walked away from you. The words hung in the air between them. Michael's mind was racing. This was everything he wanted to hear 8 years ago. But now he didn't know what to do with it. Why are you telling me this? He asked quietly. Lily took a shaky breath. Because next week I have to decide whether to get on that plane back to New York or not. And before I make that decision, I need to know if there's anything here worth staying for. She looked up at him, vulnerable in a way he'd never seen her before. I need to know if I completely ruined what we had, or if there's even a tiny chance you could forgive me. That maybe we could try again. Michael stared at her, his emotions a mess of want and fear and anger and hope all tangled together. You broke my heart, Lily. You left, and I had to learn how to be okay without you. That took years, I know. I'm so sorry. I dated other people. I built a life. I convinced myself I was over you. He ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. And then you show up, and within 3 weeks, you've completely turned everything upside down again. Do you know how unfair that is? I know, she whispered. And if you tell me you can't forgive me, I'll understand. I'll get on that plane, and I won't bother you again. But Michael, I have to try. I have to at least ask if there's a chance. Because the thought of spending the rest of my life wondering what could have been is worse than hearing you say no. They stood there on the balcony, the city alive with lights and sounds below them, everything important hanging in the balance. Michael looked at this woman who'd broken his heart, who'd also been his best friend, his partner, the person who understood him better than anyone. She wasn't perfect. She'd hurt him, but she was here now, real and vulnerable, and asking for another chance. He opened his mouth to respond, but before he could say anything, Lily shook her head. Don't answer now. Please. Think about it. Take your time. I just needed you to know how I feel before I leave. She turned to go inside, but paused at the door. For what it's worth, I never stopped loving you. Not even for one day in those 8 years. I just forgot how to choose you over everything else. I'm hoping maybe I've learned how. She went inside, leaving Michael alone with his thoughts and the cool evening air and a heart that was beating so hard it hurt. He stayed out there for a long time, trying to figure out what the right answer was, trying to decide if he was brave enough to risk being destroyed again, trying to understand if love was worth it when it came with no guarantees died inside. Through the glass door, he could see Lily curled up on the couch with Scout. She was crying, wiping her eyes with the sleeve of his hoodie, and something in Michael's chest cracked open. All those carefully built walls finally tumbling down for good. Maybe some questions didn't have easy answers. Maybe some risks were worth taking even when you were terrified. Maybe some people were worth forgiving even when they'd hurt you. Michael didn't know if trying again with Lily was the smart choice or the stupid one. But as he watched her in there, he realized something important. His heart had already made the decision. His brain just needed to catch up. The weekend arrived heavy with everything unsaid between them. Lily's flight back to New York was booked for Monday morning. 2 more days, and she'd be gone again. Maybe forever this time, depending on what Michael decided. They didn't talk about the conversation from the balcony. Instead, they moved around each other carefully, like two people walking on ice. Not sure if it would hold their weight. Saturday was busy at the shop. A book club came in looking for copies of their next read. And then there was a small rush of college students buying textbooks. Lily helped without being asked, and they worked together smoothly, like they'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. Every time their hands touched or their eyes met, Michael felt that pull, that electric thing that had always existed between them. After closing, Derek showed up at the shop. Michael had forgotten he'd agreed to grab dinner with him. One look at Derek's face, and Michael knew his friend was there for more than just food. "We need to talk," Derek said, then noticed Lily. "Oh, hey Lily." "Hi Derek." Lily gave him a small wave. "I'll head home and give you guys space," after she left. Derek turned to Michael with his arms crossed. "So, Rachel called me." Michael sighed. "Of course she did. She told me about your coffee date, about how she basically released you from whatever you two had going on." Derek leaned against the counter. "Are you really going to do this? Take Lily back after everything?" "I don't know what I'm going to do. Michael, man, I love you. You're my best friend. And I was there 8 years ago when she left. I watched you fall apart. You called me at 3 in the morning for months because you couldn't sleep. You lost weight. You stopped caring about anything. It took you 2 years to even start dating again. I remember." "Derek, do you? Because it seems like you're about to walk right back into that same situation." Derek's voice was frustrated but caring. "What happens when she gets bored again? When New York calls or some other opportunity comes up? What happens when she decides you're not enough?" Michael looked at his friend. "She said she's changed." "People don't change that much, Michael." "Not really. She's still the same person who chose her career over you once. What makes you think she won't do it again?" "Maybe because I'm choosing to believe her. Maybe because people deserve second chances. Maybe because I never actually stopped loving her, and pretending I did was just me lying to myself." Derek was quiet for a moment. Then he put his hand on Michael's shoulder. "I just don't want to see you hurt again. That's all. I know." "But Derek, what if she's telling the truth? What if she really has figured out what matters? If I don't at least try, I'll wonder about it for the rest of my life." Derek shook his head but smiled a little. "You've already decided, haven't you? This whole time, you've already known what you're going to do." "Yeah," Michael admitted. "I think I have." They ended up not going to dinner. Instead, they grabbed beers from the corner store and sat in the shop, talking about everything and nothing, about life and choices and how nothing was ever as simple as you wanted it to be. Eventually, Derek left, telling Michael he'd support whatever decision he made. Even if he thought it was stupid. Michael locked up the shop and walked home slowly, Scout trotting beside him. His mind was churning with thoughts, with fears, with possibilities. When he got to his building, he sat on the front steps for a while, looking up at his apartment window. He could see the light on, could imagine Lily in there, probably packing her things. Preparing to leave. His phone buzzed. A text from Lily. "I made dinner. Come up when you're ready." Inside, the apartment smelled amazing. Lily had made pasta, his favorite, with that special sauce she used to make in college. The table was set, candles were lit, and soft music played from her phone. She came out of the kitchen wearing jeans and a simple shirt, her hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked nervous. "I hope this is okay," she said. "I thought we should have one nice meal before I leave." They ate mostly in silence, both of them lost in their own thoughts. The pasta was perfect, exactly how Michael remembered it. Everything about the evening felt like a memory and a goodbye mixed together. After dinner, they ended up on the couch with wine. Scout was sprawled at their feet, already half asleep. The television was on, but neither of them was really watching it. "I called my boss yesterday," Lily said suddenly. "Told him I might not be coming back." Michael's heart jumped. "What did he say?" "That I'm crazy. That jobs like mine don't come around often. Then I'd be throwing away everything I worked for. She swirled her wine. He's probably right. Is that what you think? I think I've been chasing the wrong things. Success, recognition, money. I got all of it and I'm still not happy. My apartment in New York is beautiful and empty. I have colleagues but not really friends. I go to parties where everyone's trying to impress everyone else. It's exhausting. So stay, Michael said quietly. Stay here. Lily looked at him with those eyes that still made his stomach flip. I can't stay unless I know it means something. I won't do that to either of us. I won't stay and have us dance around each other, pretending we're just friends when we both know we're not. What do you want me to say, Lily? I want you to tell me how you feel. Really feel. Not what you think you should feel or what's safe to feel. Just the truth. Michael set down his wine glass. His hands were shaking a little. This was it, the moment where everything either fell apart or came together. 8 years of healing and hurting and trying to forget all led to this conversation. You want the truth? Fine, his voice came out rougher than he intended. The truth is, you left and destroyed me. For months, I could barely function. I'd see something funny and reach for my phone to text you before remembering you were gone. I'd wake up and forget for just a second, and then reality would hit me all over again. It was like losing a part of myself. Lily's eyes filled with tears, but Michael kept going. The truth is, I dated other women, but I compared all of them to you. Every single one. And none of them measured up because they weren't you. They didn't know me like you did. They didn't make me laugh the same way. They didn't feel like home. Michael, I'm not finished. The truth is, having you here these past few weeks has been the happiest and most terrified I've been in 8 years. Happy because it feels right having you around. Terrified because I know how much it's going to hurt when you leave again. He stood up, running his hands through his hair, pacing. You asked me if there's anything here worth staying for. You want to know if I can forgive you, if we could try again. And honestly, Lily, I'm scared to death. Because what if we try and it doesn't work? What if I open myself up to you again and you realize you made a mistake? What if I let myself love you completely and you break my heart worse than before? What if we try and it does work? Lily stood up too, facing him. What if this time is different? What if we've both learned enough to do it right? There's no guarantee of that. There's no guarantee of anything in life, Michael. But I know I love you. I know I never stopped. I know that being with you these past few weeks has made me feel more alive than I have in 8 years. I know that when I think about getting on that plane Monday, I feel sick. And I know that if I leave without fighting for us, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. They stood there, barely 3 feet apart, the weight of 8 years and all their feelings hanging between them. Scott had woken up and was watching them, his head tilted like he knew something important was happening. I'm not the same person I was. Lily continued, her voice shaking. I've spent 8 years learning what I don't want. Learning that success means nothing if you're lonely. Learning that some mistakes you make at 23 haunt you at 31. I can't promise I'm perfect now. I can't promise I won't mess up. But I can promise I'll choose you this time. Every single time. You really mean that? Michael's voice was barely above a whisper. Yes, but Michael, I need to know if you can really forgive me. Not just say you do, but actually forgive me. Because I can't build something with you if part of you is always waiting for me to leave again. Michael closed his eyes. Could he forgive her? Really, truly forgive her? Or would he always have that doubt in the back of his mind? He thought about the past 8 years. The pain had been real, but so had the growth. He'd learned to be okay on his own. He'd built a life he was proud of. He wasn't the same person either. Maybe that was the point. Maybe you couldn't go back to who you were before. You could only move forward as who you'd become. He opened his eyes and looked at Lily. Really looked at her. She was scared. He could see that. Vulnerable and hopeful and terrified. Just like him. Ask me, he said. What? You said on the balcony that you needed to know if there was anything here worth staying for. So ask me directly. Lily took a shaky breath. She closed the distance between them until they were standing so close. He could feel the warmth of her. She reached up slowly and placed her hand on his chest, right over his heart. Her touch was gentle, careful, like she was holding something precious. Her eyes met his, and in them he saw every memory they shared, every laugh, every fight, every moment of joy and pain. He saw the girl he fell in love with in college and the woman she'd become. He saw possibility and risk and hope all mixed together. "Is it still mine?" she whispered. Michael felt his heart thundering under her pal. Lily called her boss in New York on Sunday morning. Michael could hear her from the kitchen. Her voice steady even though he knew she was nervous. She quit her job right there on the phone. Professional but firm. When she hung up, she sat on the couch for a long moment, staring at her phone like she couldn't quite believe what she'd done. "You okay?" Michael asked, sitting down next to her. "I just walked away from 8 years of building my career. My apartment lease, my life there. Everything." She looked at him. "I should probably be panicking right now. Are you?" "No. Mostly I just feel relieved." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Is that crazy? If it is, then we're both crazy." They spent Sunday like it was the first day of the rest of their lives, which, in a way, it was. They took Scout for a long walk along the river, holding hands like teenagers. They grabbed lunch at their old favorite diner and sat in the same booth they used to sit in during college. The waitress who'd been there forever recognized them. "Well, look at you two," she said with a huge smile. "Back together finally. I wondered if that would ever happen." "You and everyone else," Michael said, grinning. The afternoon was spent at the bookstore. Lily wanted to help Michael reorganize the front display, and they argued playfully about which books should go where. It was normal and easy and felt so right that Michael had to keep reminding himself it was real. That evening, they cooked dinner together in his kitchen. Lily was terrible at chopping vegetables, a fact that hadn't changed in 8 years. She cut everything in uneven chunks while Michael tried not to laugh at her. "I'm a senior editor at a prestigious publishing house," she said defensively. "I don't need to know how to properly dice an onion." "Former senior editor," Michael corrected, dodging the piece of onion she threw at him. After dinner, they ended up in bed properly for the first time. Not like that night when Lily had fallen asleep in his room, but intentionally together. They lay there talking in the dark, Scout snoring at the foot of the bed, and it felt like coming home. "Tell me about the bad parts," Lily said suddenly. "What?" "After I left, you told me it was bad, but tell me specifically. I need to know what I did to you." Michael was quiet, thinking. "The first month was the worst. I couldn't eat. Sleep was impossible. I kept having dreams that you come back, and then I'd wake up and you hadn't. My apartment felt wrong. The city felt wrong. Everything reminded me of you." Lily's hand found his in the dark, squeezing. "Derek basically moved in with me for a while because he was worried. My mom called every day. Even Scout was depressed. He'd go to the door every time he heard footsteps in the hallway, like he was expecting you." Michael's voice was soft, remembering. "Around the 6-month mark, I finally accepted you weren't coming back. That's when the real healing started. But it was slow. Lily, really slow. I'm so sorry. I know you are, and I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. You asked, so I'm being honest. But that was then. We're here now, and I'm choosing to focus on that. Still, I need to carry that, need to remember what it cost us." She was quiet for a moment. "I wasn't okay either, in New York. No, I told myself I was living my dream, but I was miserable. I'd go to work and come home, and that was it. No real friends, no real connections. I went on dates, but they all felt hollow. I'd lie in bed at night in my expensive apartment and think about you. Wonder what you were doing, if you were happy, if you found someone else. Why didn't you reach out?" Pride, mostly, and fear. I was the one who left. I was the one who said my career was more important. How could I come crawling back after that? What if you moved on and were happy? I'd have just been disrupting your life for my own selfish reasons." She turned to face him in the dark. "But then Mom got sick, and suddenly I had a reason to come home, a legitimate excuse. And I told myself I just needed a place to stay. But really, I think I needed to see you. Needed to know if what we had was real or just nostalgia. And it's real. It was always real. I was just too stupid to see it before. They kissed. Gentle and slow, and Michael felt something settle in his chest. Peace, maybe, or just rightness. The next morning, Monday, the day Lily was supposed to fly back to New York. They woke up tangled together. Lily's alarm went off at 6, the time she would have needed to wake up to catch her flight. She reached over and turned it off, then settled back against Michael with a satisfied smile. "Best alarm I've ever turned off," she said. Over breakfast, they started making real plans. Lily would need to go back to New York for a week or two to pack up her apartment and officially move out. Michael would go with her to help. They'd figure out what furniture to keep, what to sell, what to ship back to Portland. "I should probably find a job," Lily said. "I can't just live off my savings forever." "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. Maybe something with books still, but smaller, more personal. Not the corporate publishing thing." She looked around his apartment thoughtfully. "What about expanding?" "The bookstore. You've talked about wanting to do author events and book clubs. I could help with that." "You want to work in my little bookstore after working for a major publisher?" "Our little bookstore," Lily corrected. "And yes, that sounds perfect, actually." They spent the morning at the shop, this time with Lily looking at it with fresh eyes. She had ideas, lots of them, a better website, social media presence, maybe a newsletter, ways to build community around the store. Make it more than just a place to buy books, but a gathering space for people who loved reading. "We could do themed nights," she said excitedly, pacing around the shop. "Mystery Mondays, Romance Fridays. Have local authors come read. Partner with that coffee shop down the street for refreshments." Michael watched her, energized and passionate, and felt his heart swell. This was the Lily he remembered, creative and full of ideas and excited about possibilities. But this time, her excitement was about building something with him, not something that would take her away from him. Mrs. Chen, Lily's mom, came by the shop that afternoon. She looked tired from her treatment but was smiling wide when she saw them together. Finally, she said, pulling them both into a hug, "I told Lily this would happen." "A mother knows these things." "You knew?" Lily asked. "Of course I knew. You were miserable without him. Every time you came home to visit, you drive past this shop and slow down, like you were hoping to catch a glimpse of him." She patted Michael's cheek affectionately. "And you'd ask me how Lily was doing every single time you saw me in the neighborhood, like you were trying to be casual about it but weren't." Michael and Lily looked at each other and laughed. Maybe they'd both been fools, wasting 8 years when they could have had this all along. That evening, Derek came by to check on them. He brought a bottle of wine and his girlfriend Amy, who'd heard all about the drama. "So you're really doing this?" Derek asked Michael while the women were in the kitchen. "Yeah, I really am." Derek was quiet for a moment, then pulled Michael into a hug. "I hope I'm wrong about everything. I hope she's changed and you guys make it work. And if you do, I'll be the first one to admit I was an idiot for doubting it. And if it doesn't work, then I'll be there to help you pick up the pieces again." That's what friends do. But as the evening went on, even Derek warmed up to the situation. Lily won him over, slowly, by being genuine and honest about her mistakes and her feelings. By the time they left, Derek whispered to Michael, "Okay, maybe this could work." "High praise from you," Michael joked. "Don't make me regret it." That night, after everyone had gone and it was just Michael and Lily and Scott again, they sat on the balcony where weeks ago Lily had asked if there was anything worth staying for. The city lights twinkled below them, the same as always, but everything felt different now. "I want to say something," Lily said, "and I need you to really hear it. Okay, I know I hurt you. I know I have to earn your trust back, and that might take time. Maybe a long time. And I know that there's going to be hard days where we argue or doubt or get scared. But Michael, I promise you, I'm not going anywhere. This time, I'm all in. Whatever life throws at us, we face it together. No more running. No more choosing career over us. No more putting dreams ahead of the person who makes those dreams worth having." Michael took her hand. "I promise to. I promise to trust you." to not hold the past over your head, to build something new with you instead of trying to recreate what we had before, to believe that people can change and grow and deserve second chances, to second chances. Lily said, holding up her wine glass. To second chances, Michael echoed, clinking his glass against hers. They sat there for a long time, comfortable in the silence and the certainty of their choice. Scott had positioned himself between them, confident that his family was finally back together the way it should be. Life wasn't going to be perfect. They both knew that. There would be challenges ahead, adjustments to make, insecurities to work through. Combining their lives after 8 years apart wouldn't be seamless, but they'd face it together, and that made all the difference. 3 months later, Lily was fully moved in. Her things mixed with Michael's things until it was hard to remember whose was whose. The bookstore had its first author event, packed with people from the neighborhood. Lily's mom was in remission. Derek and Amy came over for dinners regularly. Scott had never been.